Mr. Howard.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time to gather to do the business of Hendry County. Lord, we ask, Father, for your wisdom and your wisdom alone, Lord. Father, we ask you, God, to be with those that serve in Hendry County and from every department, Father, that meet the needs of the people that live here. And Father, for the first responders that do put their lives on the lines, Lord, we lift them up to you. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
This is a regular meeting of the Hendry County Board of County Commissioners being held Tuesday, August 8th, 2023 at 6 p.m. in the City Commission Chambers in Clewiston, Florida. In attendance are Chairperson Emma Byrd, Vice Chair Mitchell Wills, Commissioner Emery Howard, Commissioner Raymond Iglesias, Commissioner Carson Turner, County Attorney Matt Rollerson, and Deputy Clerk Sharon Congleton.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Hendry County Board of County Commissioner. We ask that anyone, if you have a device, we ask that you silence it, please. And if you'd like to speak, we ask you to fill out a card and give it to the clerk, please. Thank you so much. The first thing up is nothing on B, it's the agenda.
Make a motion to approve.
Second the motion to approve consent.
Motion by Commissioner Iglesias, second by Commissioner Turner. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I just, I didn't want to pull it because I don't want it to be too long of a conversation, but I did want to ask Shane, in looking at the minutes of the joint meeting with us and DOT and City of LaBelle, did we receive a formal response from the FDOT, we being the entities that were involved? Did we get a formal response on a lot of the areas where we were on the same sheet of music and then some areas where there were outstanding items and so on and so forth?
Shane Parker for the record. No, sir, we didn't get a formal response. There's been some communication behind the scenes. I believe the city, the mayor's talked to the Secretary of DOT. Jennifer Davis has spoken. I've spoken to some of the folks at DOT. I know there's movement for the movement of the alignment of State Road 29 to Bridge Street. I know that's taken place. That's in progress.
The truck route will go straight.
That's my understanding. I sent some survey information we had for LaBelle Airport to Nicole Mills. She was present at the meeting. So I know they're moving forward with that. Haven't seen anything formal, but I know it's in the works. And there's some more conversations need to take place with DOT.
Madam Chair, I want to stay diplomatic in it, but at the same time, I think, we need to just have something that we can reference back. I mean, the on-street parking, the center lane, the desire for Bridge Street to go straight. Commissioner Wills wanted to know, I'm going to put words in your mouth, but it was, how, I don't think you asked how big is the wall going to be, but can we look at an alternative of having space underneath the wall? Those types of things. I think if we don't get a master document that says, here are the 12 items, here's where the city of LaBelle and Hendry County were in lockstep. As much as I disagree with Ms. Spratt, she's adamant about the fact that she wants to know the viability or the timeline associated of when that, I can't remember what the plan is, but the ability to have a bridge west of the two bridges that are going to be there. I think that we put that into a formal document that we allow them to formally respond back so that we just have a master list of items that are going.
They also have a few things they owe you, which are going to be like concept plans for what Mr. Wills is talking, so that you can actually see it to be able to vote or decide on it.
Yeah.
Because I think without that, it's not going to do you any good.
One of the big ones was the landing of where the bridges are going to come down. I feel very confident that it's going to come down within the footprint, but what's that going to leave? Is it going to extend past one of the historical buildings? I don't think it will.
They had that ironed out already.
Yeah. But I mean, those things to me, I just want to be able to look at this after the bridge has been in use for 2 years, and members of the public are literally setting their hair on fire. I want to say, man, we missed this, or, well, we asked that, and we knew that this was the plan that was going to be laid out. And I don't want to have one of those moments where I drive into LaBelle and I don't know how many acres of beautiful oak trees have been snatched off of the side of the road, and an entire neighborhood is coming in here fired up, and I'm sick to my stomach because trees that are older than, our country have been removed. And I think that we've avoided that a little bit, but I don't want to have a 12-foot and a 6-foot sidewalk on an area and a whole bunch of on-street parking and then find out there's a lot of people that are angry about it.
And we can
And,
send something to DOT saying, this is what we understand.
Yep.
We're looking for a response back.
I think that would be wonderful.
Right. I would like to just say, short of that, I wouldn't be interested in another joint meeting until we have it.
I agree.
Well, we don't need it until
Yeah.
then, yeah.
We don't need it up until that time soon because we had everything in the meeting, but we have nothing to verify what they thought we wanted or what
Correct.
they felt like what we
Right,
wanted.
and you need to see those concepts, and they got to give you answers so you know what you can do.
And nothing I'm saying is from a standpoint of or else. It's all just saying we just want a master plan of how we're moving forward on this thing. I thought that their comments were pretty spot on when he said, I was shocked when he said, if no changes want to occur, then there will be essentially no dollars and cents spent to make these upgrades.
They changed their mind.
I think they did a little bit
changed
too,
their
Ms. Bird,
mind.
but I want to know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
We'll find out.
yeah.
So there's something verbal, something in writing.
Yep.
So
That's it.
what it is.
Thank you, Ms. Bird. That's all I wanted to talk about.
Thank
as
you so
reference.
much. So now we're proclamation for the Honorable Philip Rowland. I'm going to allow Raymond, Commissioner Iglesias, to read it into the minutes, please.
Thank you. A proclamation honoring Philip D. Rowland, July 29th, 2023 was when it was read at the church. Whereas Philip D. Rowland served as a Hendry County Commissioner for 20 years from 1974 to 1994, including time as chairman of the board. And whereas Mr. Rowland began his career of serving others by serving our country in the United States Air Force. And whereas Mr. Rowland went on to serve as Commissioner for the City of Clueston for 6 years from 2012 to 2018, including serving time as mayor. And whereas Mr. Rowland sat on the Clueston Drainage District, East Hendry County Recreation Advisory Committee, Clueston Golf Course Board, and whereas Mr. Rowland was a manager for 10 years at the Evercane Sugar Refinery in Clueston, and whereas in 1976, Mr. Rowland opened his first convenience store in Harlem, followed by another in Clueston and several more within Hendry County. And whereas Mr. Rowland devoted his time and energy to the next generation by coaching youth athletic teams, and whereas Mr. Rowland was a champion for Lake Okeechobee and spent countless hours around the state of Florida speaking and educating about water management issues and the health of Lake Okeechobee. Now, therefore, the Hendry County Board of County Commissioners, Hendry County, Florida, hereby honors and expresses its most sincere appreciation to Philip D. Rowland for his years of dedication and service to Hendry County and its citizens. Thank you for allowing me to read that. It was a lot easier today than it was 2 weeks ago.
He reminded me of Philip Rowland and James Hart.
Oh, yeah.
They hung out together along with my brother Robert Lagon and that crew, so they planted a lot of positive seeds, and that's why the family's so apt about naming the gym after James Hart. But they work together.
Yeah.
And who don't know Philip Rowland? So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I know he'll be missed. He'll be missed. At this time, we're going into the public hearing, and this is a public hearing if someone from the public wishes to speak on this matter, which is LDC 23-0003, the Land Development Code.
Good evening. For the record, Ryan Alexander, Associate County Planner. All three LDC amendments that I'm bringing before you tonight are their first reading. We'll have the other reading for adoption at a later time. The first LDC amendment is LDC 23-0003. This is an amendment to Section 1-54 to include an heirs parcel provision for general agriculturally zoned lots of record.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Ryan, I don't mean to cut you off, but I just wanted to jump to it. Does anyone on the board have an issue with what we're seeing here? And I think this is cleaning up something that really makes sense to all of us.
No,
I would make a motion to approve unless we just need to read it and chill for tonight.
Second.
This is a public hearing. Anyone from the public wishes to speak? If not, motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Wells. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Continue.
LDC 23-0004. Again, for the record, Ryan Alexander, Associate Planner. This is an amendment to the LDC, specifically in 153-3.9.3, which allows for the transference of exempt status to heirs within RRF, which is Montura Estates. So this is finishing up our Montura Ranch ordinances that were started in 2019 to allow the exempt status for the unlimited animals within parcels to family members. The heirs, the same definition that we just talked, or that we have for the heir definition for the transference of parcels on A2 land. And this is the only way that you could transfer this status for unlimited animals within Montura. There's also a sworn affidavit that I have included with this that they'll fill out, so we have it on record with the county.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
This is a public hearing. Anyone from the public wish to speak at this time? Motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Iglesias. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Ryan, how are you going to work that out as far as getting the affidavits filled out by the landowners?
So they would have to come in just like we have a special permit for ag in residentially zoned properties right now. It would be the same process. They would just come in, they would have the affidavit, or like we do for ag exempt building permits, that same process, they would just turn it in, we put it on file for the property itself.
So is this time certain? Do they have 5 years to do it? Do they have to do it in the next 6 months? What does that look like?
There isn't a time on it, but it would have to be notarized by the owner of the property. So if they wanted to transfer it to their kids, it would have to stay in the family. Would you say, like, if somebody died, how long they would have?
Right.
Okay, let me look at that and see if that's something. I'll make a note in here and see if that's something we need to address. I didn't come across that in any other counties as I was researching, but I'll see, and I'll talk to Mr. Rollerson and see if that's something we need to add in there.
Okay, thank you.
There's nothing. You got one more?
Got one more.
All right.
You have one more.
The final LDC amendment that I'm bringing before you is amending some of the definitions that we have within our land development code, specifically that relate to agriculture. Currently, our agriculture and agricultural processing definitions aren't very clear, and they don't convey what we want them to convey. So we have taken the definitions, we've amended the agriculture definition and the agricultural processing definition. In doing so, we found that packing houses, which is something we want to be allowed as a right within a farm, were kind of in between processing and agriculture, so we gave them a standalone category, created a definition for them so we can protect them by right within agricultural land. We've also updated the code for the table for allowable uses to include agricultural packing houses. And then also that final page is bringing us into compliance with the state's guidance for agritourism. And that'll also be added for the same allowances that we have for agriculture within the code.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Iglesias, second by Commissioner Howell. All in favor? No. This is a public hearing. Anyone from the public wish to speak? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you so much. That's not fair. Thank you so much. There's nothing under staff report. Any old business anyone like to discuss at this time? This is a public hearing. At this time, we're going to call Anthony Green. State your name, please.
Anthony Green. My name is Anthony Green. I have been working in Harlem for the last 3 years, assisting people with various different issues, from food insecurity to disease and drug addiction and so on. I have been working with a company called the Joseph Project.
Anthony, I want to ask you to speak louder because I'm having a hard time understanding you, so they're not going to be able to hear you over there. Sorry.
So I've been working with a company called the Joseph Project to, service the people. We have grown from 1 room to 2 rooms to 3 rooms to a food pantry and so on. Recently, we have split ways, right? So in splitting ways, there's still work to be done. I have a GED class that needs to be implemented like with immediacy. The computers are already given to us. With U.S. Sugar, we cut a deal with U.S. Sugar that I'm to have a mock interview of 10 humans per month. We we just got hired 3 humans this month in Harlem, and it's been working well. 2 last month, 3 this month. Just I don't have a space anymore, and there are spaces available, and I'd like a space. I only work 15 hours a week. That's
So
it.
I will address it. There's not spaces available. The Joseph project was grandfathered in. I'm sorry that you all split ways, but we're not allowing any other entity to come in. And Ms. Davis did write something for the librarian to correct some of them. You have done a great job. You have worked with great people, but it's, you all have separated that. That have nothing to do with the county.
Right.
So, and we don't have the space. We're not allowing anyone else to come in to Harlem Academy at this time.
Right. So I'm here because the Joseph Project was grandfathered a room. I grew it into 3 rooms, right? So now I am no longer part of the Joseph Project. The 3 rooms still exist. The space, the office, the books, the refrigerator, the freezer, all of the things that I got donated are still in space. Only the programs aren't being implemented anymore. So we're not providing the services that are provided anymore. It just isn't happening anymore.
My saying would have to be that's something that you would have to work out with Joseph Project. That's not a county situation.
Well,
And
I'm informing the county what has happened and the amount of people that are being affected. I service 300 humans socially every month. We have 10 people for a GD program. We have 10 humans that are to be interviewed every month. And because of a disagreement, right, that has nothing to do with anything professionally. This is just personal, right? We are unable to continue helping.
I knew about the situation, and you made a comment to me that I wasn't doing anything. It's not my job to go in and mend relationship. I wish I could, but I can't mend that. That's something that Joseph Projects have to work out.
We're not asking for a relationship to be mended. We're asking for the work that we promised the community, that it be continued and not be discontinued because 2 people or 3 people or 4 people have a disagreement. That's not fair.
That's still not for the county to make that decision for you all.
Right.
So my thing with you need to get back with Joseph Project and see if you all could mend it out. But Ms. Davis already informed us that we was not releasing any more space until we continue and finish Harlem Academy Daycare.
Anthony, and since county space isn't available, have you reached out to any of the churches in the Harlem community to see if they have a fellowship hall or something you can use?
I have a resident in Harlem has granted us a space, but we went there yesterday and it's flooded, so we have to redo the roof.
In the GED, I know the GED place have a space for that.
Yeah, so
the school have a space
right,
for
but
that.
the reason why the GED is needed in Harlem is because half of our people don't drive. So we tried all of last year to get our people into the Clewiston program, and they are unsuccessful because they can't consistently get there. So that is why.
How many nights a week is it?
It's 3 nights now.
It's 3 nights a week.
Yeah.
There is something called Stream,
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure all of them would qualify for it.
It's just, if it's made to sound as easy as it is, right, then we would not have a whole entire community that is unable, right? So it's not as easy as getting on a stream bus. It's just not that easy.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news or aggression or whatever it wants to be, but this conversation is not at this level, in my opinion. And if that's offensive to you or other people, I apologize. I think that this is not a policy level conversation that should be happening at a board meeting. If there were personal differences or professional differences or whatever, I'm a huge supporter of the Joseph Project. I'm a huge supporter of any community entity that wants to try to move the needle, and I'm all about moving the needle. But I'm detecting some petty differences here, and I just want to nip this in the bud and move the conversation along. Sir, I don't know you from Adam's House Cat, but it sounds like you do a lot of good, and I would just challenge you to get with Ms. Bird or get with county staff and see what's there. I do know this, Ms. Bird, I think that you have a strong vision for what you want to see in the Harlem Academy facility. I think that we've received a ton of dollars that are going to be allocated towards that facility. That facility got punched in the head hard by some storms, and because it sat empty and dilapidated for a while, it's going to take millions of dollars to get it back up and running. But I will say this, and I've said this before, when I first got elected, you could almost say that I was anti the Harlem Academy. I was so frustrated with what I saw when I went out there. And that was pure ignorance in its thought process. Because when you look at the volume of humanity that it touches on a daily basis and how many people were able to walk to that facility and the volume of what it could affect from our voluntary pre-kindergarten numbers alone, just that, not what the library was able to do with the computer lab, not what the library was able to do with regards to internet hookup and people being able to go anywhere on the planet because they can go in there and access a book. Just the VPK facility alone and us being able to raise that level of production. And when I say we, I'm talking about Angela Brown and the team that was out there. That had nothing to do with it. We've got to see that facility back up and running. And so I'm excited about what's going on there, but as it relates to this, I don't like where this is going. And so I don't want you to feel uncomfortable, Ms. Burr, and please tell me to shut my mouth if you disagree with what I'm saying and we need to have this conversation, but I don't like it right now. So
I don't disagree. I feel
Okay.
like this is not the place for it. And when the space come available, I think you'll be a great candidate for the space. But we are not allowing anyone else to come in at this time. Thank you so much. Business by district, Commissioner Glacy.
Shane, your team at Road and Bridge, Jimmy, Tommy, helping you out this past week, spot on. I got to tell you, your leadership reflects in your staff, and those guys will do absolutely anything from you. I saw them working in the heat, in the rain, Randy pulling all-nighters. It's an honor for me to be a county commissioner and know that we have staff that's that dedicated because of the leadership. So I want to thank you and your team. I know we got quite a bit of work to do, but for the meeting you did mention, and it kind of caught me off guard, I guess I was thinking that we would have Cowboy open before school started. So, and it makes sense, right? Has Randy been able to clean out in front of the culverts on both sides at all?
For the record, Shane Parker, County Engineer, yes, he has cleaned out in front, but I've been in contact with the school board, Anthony Busen, and we're leaving the road closed until we can finish up what we need to do.
What do you, just ballpark, what do you think? And I know that rain's going to be a factor, but what is your timeline? What are you hoping for?
I'm hoping that by the end of the week we can have a pipe installed in a bypass pipe, and that we can get the water levels low enough to be able to look at the structure to see what repairs we need to make and shore it up. Jerry has some ideas, but we're meeting tomorrow to discuss about it, but we need to see the water level drop down, and right now we can't make any decisions yet. But the water level is dropping a lot the last 2 days.
So I noticed yesterday that we already patched some holes on potholes on Birchwood, and I know that road was the wettest road of all of Port LaBelle, and I know that's not going to last very long. My question is, in the communities of Port LaBelle that are operated under the PLCDD, and I know that how she's limited with staff, is that something that we might be able to go in there and help with some potholes until she can get to it? I don't know, because I'm just telling you. I don't know if you know Commissioner Turner, but
No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
It was bad.
No, I know.
Tide Circle was 7 3/4 inches on the road and potholes popping up everywhere. So,
I mean, we could. That would be an interlocal agreement, but that's possible.
Right.
That would be my recommendation on how to do it.
So I spoke to 2 residents on Waldo Circle yesterday, and they have no idea what the PLCDD is. Yeah. I know that realtors, or contractors sell them houses, and they don't have a clue. But one of them from Fort Lauderdale says, I've been here for 6 months, and I'm already thinking about putting my house up for sale because I was scared I was going to flood out. Now, granted, his house wasn't going to get flooded out,
right,
but he had 7+ inches of water standing in his road for 4 days straight. Right. So, it's a cause of concern because he just doesn't know what to expect if a storm came. And that's been my biggest concern. If a tropical storm came and sat on us for 2 days, what would that community look like? So hopefully the work that we're going to do is going to help clear that up. But I do feel that the green belt, swells, whatever you want to call them, within the PLCDD district has got some work to be done. And
well, Miss Judy KK, the manager, I believe she's on vacation this week, and I could be wrong, but I thought she was, and we've been in contact via text messages. But I can reach out to her and find out if she wants assistance with pothole patch, and she does.
I would love it for her to just go in and do it. I just don't want it to linger because I'm just telling you, it's bad.
If she feels like it's lingered, then we could have an interlocal agreement prepared to bring back for both boards to approve, and then that's how you do it.
Okay. And then my last thing is, every time I ride by Quality 1 on 80, I see 3 stream buses. Are those the same buses, or are they different buses, or?
They're probably different buses. I don't know for sure, but they probably are. They do our maintenance repair to the buses.
Okay. We might want to look into that. I don't know if we're at the point of already needing new buses, but I'm telling you, every time you notice them, Mitchell,
Where at?
Yeah.
they're across from the log cabin, but every time I ride by there's 3 buses there. So, all right, thank you.
Bring the attention to Miss Kelly, just email her.
No, ma'am. No.
Same thing, just staff has been completely covered up, and we got stuff going on everywhere. And that's something that is a credit to every one of your directors. As you see, the men underneath them, they go above and beyond. That's something we should all be very thankful for, because without every one of them doing what they're doing, we can't do anything. So again, staff, make sure we tell all those guys, tried to steal Randy, wasn't having it, so. But yeah, again, same thing Commissioner Iglesias said, our staff is incredible. So we should all be very thankful for what we have. That's really all I got.
Commissioner Turner?
Shane, just getting a high volume of calls on 835, 833, and Deerfence Canal Road as it parallels there. Obviously, there's rain and, cars driving fast. It's actually a giant high-pressure system that's blowing them out. So if we could ride that, make sure we're okay there. And then as it relates to what you're saying, Commissioner Iglesias, I don't know what our stormwater master plan looks like, right? But I don't want to get caught up in a jurisdictional boundary problem where we may know from a Hendry County perspective where our hotspots are, and I guarantee you, Shane, you and your staff know where the hotspots are, and the City of LaBelle staff knows where the hotspots are in reference to, we get 14 inches of rain, which you say, oh, that's not going to happen. No, we've had that 3 or 4 times now since I've been a commissioner, and not with named storms. I mean, we had 17 inches of rain fall in Flagler. I think it was about 18 months ago, and it was nightmarish, and it was all season as well, right? And so those little anomalies coming up, but we can tell you pretty much where our major problems are going to be in Flaghole, Montura, Hooker's Point, so on and so forth, all the different drainage districts or 298s or whatever it may be. But what do we have on paper that would allow for us to go to whenever funding sources are open like they are right now, what can we go back to DEP with and say, okay, we're going to apply for this because we want to address this issue. And it may be Somerset, right? It may be the C5 paralleling Highway 27, just use it as an easy example, or the 42-foot canal because we know there's a massive plug that, we get up in the helicopter and we see where that issue is. I'm just throwing those as 3 easy examples. Probably none of them are applicable, but you do know, Shane. So, I'm ready to allow Emily to apply to DEP for $250,000 or $500,000 to perform a master stormwater study as it relates to Hendry County proper and all the municipalities within that, all the 298s and all that, and look at how the system ebbs and flows. And then now let's put a master plan together of how we're going to attack said issues. Your thoughts, please.
That's fine. We actually have one that was done prior to my arrival, like 05, that was done by URS, which is now AECom.
Yes, sir.
They did one for all of Hendry County. It showed all the maps for the 298 drainage districts, all the major canals, but they focused on the north side of the river, so like it'd be Pollywog, Jack's Branch, different places like that. It would need to be updated, so if we could get a grant to do that, would be nice. And the reason being is once we complete the 4 corners, that's going to change things. There's been some improvements to the Austin relief by the developer. We got a grant, I believe, from that master plan to do Pollywog. We did the box culverts there. I don't know, it was like late 2000s, early teens, and that changed drainage in the area and actually stopped flooding in North LaBelle and improved conditions. So it would be good to update that. Any easements we have occurred along the way. So it's not a bad idea. It's a good thing. But we have it'd be almost 20 years out of date. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy to think
Time
it's
to do it.
18 years,
Yeah.
that it's been since we looked at that. Now, Shane, you said it focused, but did it just focus north of the river, or was it?
It focused a lot north of the river, but it included the entire county. Like
So
it
as the
listed-
tributaries flow, it had it in there.
Right, it showed
Okay.
all the drainage districts.
Yes,
It
sir.
tells you how many drainage districts in there, the maps, but
Yeah.
then it got into detail up in the north end.
So I'd like for us to reinvigorate that discussion.
Okay.
But then, Shane, I think this rolls right into lockstep. Commissioner Iglesias' district is literally exploding at the seams in Port LaBelle.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you, unfortunately, how many dollars and cents we were rendered from the state to do septic to sewer conversion. Do you happen to know that number? The number is just under 10 million, if my mind is correct.
Septic to sewer conversion, we got 600,000 for a grant.
Okay.
For phase one, we've got, I believe it was 7.5 million for
Yes.
construction funding.
Yes.
And then the design, I can't recall that number. We did get a grant for units 2 and 3. So
Okay.
let's say it's roughly $1 million.
But units 2 and 3, and there's how many? 9?
Technically, there's 13 units.
13. And so we're looking at probably, I'm going to say upwards of $150 million to convert all of that, right? But that number is going to be so obsolete as we move 4 or 5 years down the road, unless something catastrophic happens in the economy. Once again, I go back to, we're in the C43 BMAP, right? The DEP / Governor DeSantis, which started under the Scott administration, has allocated more guaranteed funding than we've ever seen in the history of the state. And our BMAP directly correlates to nutrient load, no matter if you never open up the gates to allow Lake Okeechobee to go into Lee County and push water that way. The volume of water coming off of that watershed is so high that anything that we can do, we're going to qualify out. We're going to be high up on that list for DEP to want to fund these projects. And I think, Shane, please don't take offense, and I don't think you will. I don't think it's within your capacity, simply because we're talking about having you take over Port LaBelle Drainage District's pothole replacement, right? And then what does Flaghole want you to get done yesterday? And what does Commissioner Wills want you to get done? And what does Commissioner, and so on and so forth. And now I'm saying, hey, by the way, also add looking at Port LaBelle units 3 through 13 and just throw those in there while, and don't worry about sleeping this month. And so I think that we need to look at having a consultant come in on that as well. I don't know if I guarantee you have an engineering firm in mind already that is dialed in and would know how to do
We
that.
actually have Tetra Tech on board.
On board, right?
On board, and what we had them do was they did a due diligence study. Oh, I'm sorry. They did an analysis of Port LaBelle as which units will trip based on how.
So Danny's team would know.
And
to
he's
the
already
dollar.
he's already updated it one time.
Yeah.
And so our plan is to have them updated maybe like every year or every 2 years,
Yes, sir.
because you're going to be
Yeah.
spiking fast and slowing up, and it's going to change the projection. But it's going to tell you in that report, it has a cost estimate of what each unit's going to cost.
Yes.
Financially wise for the installed gravity sewer. So you're going to want to be having that updated all the time, because we may end up switching units to where you want to go, but you may find out in units 1 and 2, units 1, 2, and 3, if you put central sewer in, you may find your population peak there and the other ones slow up, but it
Yes, sir.
tells you where you're going to be at.
Madam Chair, I don't think that this needs to be a conversation that we kind of want to do. I think this needs to be a front-burning item, because the development is moving at such a fast rate over there. But more importantly, the state has the dollars and cents ready to underwrite it right now. And I think that we should talk with Ms. Davis and her team, which I think is basically consists of Emily working with you and whoever Tetra Tech would assign to it, and putting it to paper and saying, this is what we're going to go to DEP and ask for.
And we already got a list. The
Yeah.
report from Danny already has the pecking order of which units go down.
Yeah.
And so we weren't expecting construction funding for unit 1 because we haven't even designed it, but we got it.
Yeah.
And we got units 2 and 3 designed. So we're like ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
So
But
now
just-
we're going into RFP.
But I
mode.
want to be adamant about, just because we're ahead of the curve doesn't mean we need to take the foot off the gas.
No. We
Yeah.
just keep applying, and we
Yeah.
already got the pecking order to keep applying for.
Yeah. So that was it, Ms. Bird. Thank you.
Madam Chair, question on that, adding to that though, where we at capacity wise? How long is it gonna be before we're gonna have to have another plant?
But I think that goes right into the conversation.
Exactly.
It needs
That's what I'm
to
saying.
be right there.
That's
Yes,
gotta
sir.
be forefront.
Yes, sir.
We
And
can add
that's-
all the development we want to, but if the
But
capacity's
you
not
can't
there.
if you can't handle it. You can't handle it.
That's in the report that Danny has, and we actually got grant funding for that, for an
Yeah.
expansion at the plant for design. So we're moving the needle in the right direction, and we got the report. And so conversations with Danny we had a week ago was like, what kind of plant do we want to build? What do we need? And that's preliminary discussions that we're having now, because we got to fill out the grant application. We got the money, we just got to fill out the scope of work to send back to the state for them to give us a grant agreement that you would approve.
You know, right in line with that, though, is I want to go back to it again and again and again and again. I don't want to get caught up in, well, that's the city of Clewiston sewer treatment plant, so we don't need to worry about it. One of the angriest moments of my life as an elected official was when we got the dollars and cents allocated to do the force main on a grant on state revolving trust fund. Do you remember this, Shane?
Yes.
Ms. Hunter, do you remember it? So I remember it vividly. I was in the car with Charles Chapman when DEP called us and said, congratulations, your dollars are there. We're going to wire it to the account. You guys can move forward on doing the force main. And it was some ungodly amount. It was like 6.5 or something. I don't know, but it was there. And Jeff Littlejohn, the undersecretary, said it's done. And then the city of Clewiston, and the people will remain nameless, but I love every one of them, ultimately said, we can't allow y'all to take that because we don't have capacity in our sewer treatment plant. And DEP is not going to give us money to allow for expansion to occur. That wasn't ignorance by the commission. It wasn't ignorance by me, but it was this horrible push and pull of, we don't want y'all to get out in front of us. And it wasn't from a negative place. It was just what you're talking about. We may not have capacity, so you're gonna force us to spend a lot more money. Long story, really, really long. You know, they delayed that force main by probably 6 years. And granted, I mean, we didn't lose, I think it was 0.25% interest on it. I mean, it would have been free money, but it just makes me angry at that thought, knowing that could have been done a long time ago. And now when we're ready into this jump that we're seeing from an economic standpoint, people could have been tying into that sewer line instead of we're contemplating where it's going to go and how that's going to play.
You know, it's a different ball game now. Everybody's trying to work together, so I'm going to leave that where it's at. So, you know,
I like it, Ms. Bird.
Everybody's trying to work together, so that's why we're getting some things going and needles moving with the city of LaBelle and the city of Clewiston.
I don't disagree with you for 1 second, and I'm excited about it, but I really do. I can't believe I'm saying master plan, but I really do think it's time for us to look at that and not get caught up in, well, that affects the city of LaBelle as it rolls down this road and leaves and parallels Evans or that. No, we need to look at how does that play to the whole pie, and then how are we going to go about asking dollars. And it may be us passing it over to the city of LaBelle and saying, this is, you know, we think off of this analysis, your request needs to be $19 million. You know, but we're going to make it our number 5 if y'all are going to have it as number 1 or number 2 on your request, and there we go.
It goes back with the count. The city was trying to get dollars money for the sewer on Georgia, but because
Yes, ma'am.
Because we had an open
Yes,
CDG.
ma'am.
So
Yep.
either way it go, we still have to work together. So
Yep.
you know, hopefully Shane will be able to, you know, put everything in place and get it done. I don't have anything else, so thank you all. Meeting's adjourned.